Okay, so we have, again, we're going to go between Photoshop and Illustrator, Illustrator to Photoshop. So one of the wonderful things that we have inside of Photoshop, let me turn on the light a little bit so you can see a little better. Inside of Photoshop, you have all those selection tools, right? You have the magic wand tool. You have the what's the one that's kind of it sticks to the side? The magnetic lasso. I use that every day. Pretty much, I do use a magnetic lasso every day. And then you have the lasso tool and all that. And all those tools you can use to select the outside of an object or inside an object or something. Well, you can take those selections, or if you've ever done the tutorials in a Photoshop book, sometimes they call them marching ants, you know, the selections you have in Photoshop with the little dotted dots going around it, right? Well, all those dots can be converted into a path, or a path, think of path as a vector. Then I can take that vector and copy and paste it into Illustrator. So that's what I'm going to demonstrate first. Let me find a photo. Where do we have a photo? I need a portrait of somebody. Oh, I'm in Jean's. Why am I in Jean's thing? Well, we can use one of Jean's. We'll steal Jean's pictures. There we go. The cat. So let's say you wanted this cat, and you didn't want to actually have to go and use the pen tool inside of Illustrator and go all the way around the cat. I could quickly bring this cat into Photoshop. I could use my magic wand tool, which is located here, called the magic wand tool. I can use the magic wand tool to select the white area, and notice how it selects kind of the outline of the path. So we selected the magic wand tool, uses a tolerance. There's a tolerance setting up here. And if you click on the white area, it selects all the white area. Now we don't want the white area selected, we want the cat selected. So often, and I'm doing this all the time, I invert. So usually when I select things, I like to select not what I want and then invert it. To invert it, you go underneath Select Inverse. What that does is not the white area, it's going to select the cat itself. So now that I have the cat selected, you can see the little dots going around it. You see it right there, dots going around it. So I want to convert that into a vector and bring that into Illustrator. How I convert that into a vector, again, is I'm using an option inside of Photoshop called Paths, with an S, Paths. And in the, oops, if I can bring it up here, Paths. So in the paths option, you'll see there's a variety of things. There's a fill, there's a stroke, there's a marching ants, and then this one, make work path from selection. Make work path from selection. So if I click on that, what it'll do is it'll actually make a vector, and you can see the vector. Now the quality of the vector is being defined by an option in the paths window by using the there's a way to adjust that. Let me do it again, make sure I can figure that out. I'm going to undo that for just a minute. Instead of clicking the quick one right here, see how this is kind of like quick way of doing it? Click right here. There's actually a way, I think, to adjust the path by going under here. And if you go into Make Work Path here, I think. Oh, yeah, there you go. And then there's a tolerance that shows up. Did you see that? It's in the pop-up menu. I'll show you again. Again, the first way I did, just clicked right here. Boom. There's no options. But if you go in the Paths pop-up window and you go in the upper right corner right here, you'll see there's one that says Make Work Path. If you go to that option in the upper right corner, it'll actually give you a tolerance. And so the tolerance is kind of like how close is it going to follow the kind of dotted line that you have there. And if you put a higher number in there, like 4, and hit OK, oh, no, it's smoother. I went the wrong way. Oof, did you see that? That was the wrong way. It made it smoother. If you want it more closely, make a lower number. So that was 4. I want to go. It was 2 by default, right? Yeah. Let's put 1 in there and let's see what it does. Look, it has more dots. So if you want more dots, and think of each one of the little points is going to be a point inside of Illustrator, right? So you want more dots to work with? A lower number tolerance. You want less dots to work with, a higher number. And of course, more dots is going to be more closely to the original selection, right? So to bring this into Photoshop, you click, see how it says work path right here? You can name it too. Instead of just calling it name, we call it cat. There it is, cat. You can copy, Command C on the keyboard. We go over to Illustrator, and we make a new file in Illustrator. and then we can paste it in there by going Command V. Now it's going to ask you a couple things. Do you want it fully editable, or do you want to compound faster? I don't know. I like things that are editable, so I'm gonna say compound shape, and here it is. It has my cat shape. I can make it bigger, and then I can fill it in like any other object. And again, here's my cat shape. You can see it's kind of followed the path inside of Photoshop. So again, making a selection. There's a variety of ways. I was just doing this. Of course I was making last summer. I was making icons for these products last year, and I was going to. Here's what the product looks like. So instead of me having to go through and instead of having to go through and use the pen tool and click, 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 click all the way around, that's way too much work. What I would do is I'm going to download this picture, copy this image. I put it in Photoshop and then pasted it in there. Then again, I went around it with the magic wand tool like this. Then I inversed it like that. Then I made it into a path. I probably would have used less points. That's where I would actually crank the tolerance up. Let me make it. I don't want all those damn points. I'm going to go. There we go. That's much closer. Then I copied it into Illustrator. And then I was able to use that, and I was making icons with this, and so then I filled it in with a black. Okay, then I was able to put the window in there. There's a window for the product. Then there was a button in there, button right around here for the product, and then I don't know, there's some other parts, but I was quickly able to take that, and then what I did with that is I made it into a an icon for something. Maybe make this gray. There we go. Okay, so that was one way of doing it. And then if your thing is a little rough like that, you can make it smoother inside of Illustrator. See how it's kind of rough? You go under Object, Path, and you can even make it smoother there. If you want to make objects smoother, you can say Simplify. That'll actually get rid of some of the points. Make it really smooth. You can see a preview. Ooh, look at that. That's kind of cool. No, it's not what I want. But hey, not very good. But you get the idea, right? Okay, let's go back. Let's go from. Well, let me think if there's any other things I should show you going from Photoshop to Illustrator. Of course, you can copy and paste a vector. Color palettes are difficult because they use different saving of color palettes. So that's one challenge. And what I mean by that is, here, look, we have swatches here. See these swatches right here? If I save these, you say, oh, okay, I made my own. Remember how we would use the eyedropper and make our own kind of palette? And you want to save those colors and bring them into a different program? The Photoshop uses a different format than Illustrator, and so they're not as compatible. I can't just come over here and save these swatches. See, swatches and AE. Oh, look at this. There's a different option there. Look at that. What's this one? Swatch AI. Look. Looks like they have it now. In the past, I would try and save it as this option, the ASE. See it right there? And it wouldn't be compatible with Illustrator. You couldn't open that back up. But it looks like right here it says what? Save swatches in AI. That's a new option for me. I haven't seen that before, so maybe that would work with Illustrator. So, and the reason why you might want to do that is if you want to make your own color palette and things like that. Okay, let's go from Illustrator back. So if I'm in Illustrator, I'm in Illustrator already. And of course, what's the anniversary today? Is there any anniversary today? Whose anniversary? Remember, Google Doodles are all kind of anniversary. And if you haven't, and I was thinking I've had in the past students do Google Doodle, and high schools tend to do that with their students. So if you have never made a Google Doodle before, it's Doodle, 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 Google Doodle. And of course, this is the most recent one. Look at it. These are all little vector things. That was a cool one, right? Google. Of course, these are all kind of different doodles from Google, right? Most of them look kind of vector, but a lot of them might have a combination, right? Combination of Google and there. So I'm going to do two examples. This one's kind of cool. See, Idaho State, Burning Man. So a doodle kind of tells you what it is kind of right away in some sense, right? Always a cute example. So let me make a quick doodle. Google? Is that Google? Oof, what a horrible font. Ooh, Monster Party. There we go. And then let's duplicate that and let's make it another font. It's not scary enough. Scary, scary. I need a scary font. No, definitely not. No. Okay, I'm running out of time here. There we go. That's not going to work, is it? You would really have to adjust these characters in the back here. They don't line up right, do they? Okay, if I expand them, I can move them around. There we go. And then ungroup them. And then group them again. Just doesn't fit. There we go. I'm almost done here. Let me make it a certain color. There we go. Let me convert these into objects. Where's my create outlines? Okay, so ungroup those. So let's put this one with the Wolfman. I can't see him though. He needs to flip. This guy needs to flip. How do I flip? Just flip it. Jeez, am I working? There we go. Okay, almost done. There we go. So this one, we can't really see her face. There she goes. Because isn't this from the movie? What is the movie? Exorcist, right? This is the Exorcist. Exorcist. This is the Wolfman. This looks like Johnny Depp. There we go. Johnny Depp. Just delete this one, delete that one, duplicate this one. There we go. And this one is, there, delete these. Duplicate this one. Okay. Okay, so here's my Google Doodle for movie. We'll call it whoever the famous director is who made these movies. There we go. So my famous Google Doodle. Oh, we didn't give these red. These need red outlines, don't they? Red outline, red outline, red outline, red outline, red outline. Okay, here we go. So how do I can take this and bring it into Photoshop so that it can stay vector. So let's say I'm making a flyer or doing something inside of Photoshop and I need this logo inside of Photoshop. So I'm going to bring it in as something inside of Photoshop as a smart object. I don't like my L being down like that. Needs to line up a little better. Okay, so I need to bring it in as a smart object. So the first thing I would do is make the artboard the same size, because when you bring it in as a smart object, it takes the square of the whole artboard, right? And if you look at this artboard, I have a bunch of white space around the outside of my logo, right? So if you select all your artwork, you can make the artboard the same size as your artwork by going under Object, Artboards, Fit Artwork, or Fit to Artwork Bounds, if that's a term. What that does is gets rid of all the white and just shrinks down the artboard to fit whatever you have selected. Again, it's under Object, Artboards, Fit to Art Bounds. Boom. There we go. So now it's fit to what it needs to be. If I'm going to save this, you don't need to really save it, but I'm going to save it, and then we're going to call it Google. Whatever. Okay, so I want to bring this into Photoshop. To bring it into Photoshop, I can select all, and I can copy. There's three ways of bringing it in. One is to bring it in by going under inside of Photoshop File Place, like we place an object inside of Illustrator. Well, we can do the same thing inside of Photoshop. That's why I saved it once. Another way is to copy and paste as a smart object, and another way is to copy and paste it as a raster object. So let's do the copy paste, and then I'll show you how to import it with the file menu. So again, copy. I can go over to Photoshop, and let's say that I want to mix it with my cat. I don't need my path right now. I'm going to mix it with my cat. If I go underneath Edit, Paste, it's going to ask me four things. Okay, first one is a smart object. What the smart object is it keeps it the same as it was inside of Illustrator. Same thing. Pixels will convert it to a raster object, or basically something made of pixels like you have inside of Photoshop. Paths is just like we did before when we made the cat and we converted it into paths. And you go back. The problem with that is my colors are going to be gone, and all the formatting that I did in Illustrator will be gone. It will just give me objects with and then a shape layer will take all the objects that you have and convert them into another object inside of Photoshop. But it's just one layer, and you can fill it with a specific color, but you won't have multiple colors. Let's just try them, and you'll see. Smart Objects is probably the most useful. It'll bring it in as a vector. So here it is, and again it says Vector Smart Object. And the advantage again is it's just like it was a vector inside of Illustrator. I can scale it tiny like this. Okay, tiny. Right, and hit place. Or I can select it and scale it super big and hit place. And you'll still see it's sharp, crisp, clean vectors just like it was inside of Illustrator. So that was a smart object. Again, it's called a smart object. Bless you. And then after that, if you want, let's move this out of the way. Again, the second object is going to be pixels. And the problem with that, though, is once you place it, it converts it into dots. Now, the advantage of doing that, though, is you got now options to manipulate it with using the Photoshop tools, right? I can come over here and use my dodge and burn. I like using dodge and burn. If you haven't used dodge and burn before, it's this one. Dodge tool and burn tool. Okay. If you use dodge and burn, burn will kind of darken an area. So you can darken it. You can go over it. It's great for darkening areas. And then, of course, the burn tool is opposite. It lightens an area. So if you want to put some highlights in the hat here, let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. So dodge darkens an area. This can lighten an area. See how I can quickly use some of the Photoshop tools to add some highlights and shadows. That's what my nephew Felipe does with his drawings. I showed him how to do that when he's 10. He's almost 30 now. So the reason why you would want to paste it as pixels is so that you can manipulate it using the Photoshop tools. That makes sense? There's a whole bunch of tools in Photoshop you can make. You can't do that with the smart object. I can't. Once it's a smart object, it still sees it as vectors. I can't come over here and use the dodge and burn on that because it's not. It doesn't see it as a vector. Oh, that's not burn. Here it is. Burn. See, can't do that because it's like the original Illustrator file basically. So that's one reason. Okay, and then another one would be what was the third one? Paths. It does it like it does. So it sees it as all these paths. Now the nice thing about using paths, though, is you can convert it into a selection. Oh, let's make a new layer. So you have to use the paths tool, which is this one right here. Oh, please don't do that. Select them all. Select them all. Can I scale them? I need a scale. There's a scale. I know there is.
Can you group them and then scale them?
There's not really a grouping. I have to use the path window. Where's the path window? There we go. In the path window, you select it all, and then we can convert. I want to scale them. Why is it so big? I don't know if this will work. It's not going to work. No. Let me see. It's path selection tool. Let me just try that. You can move them. But it's not letting me scale them. Let's try that. That's a good option. Let's try it. Transform path. There you go. Scale. Thank you. There we go. I really need a bigger artboard here. Cat. But the advantage of using paths is I can convert the paths back into a selection. Just like, remember, I converted a selection into a path. Inside of Photoshop, I can convert a path into a selection right here, this option right here. Oh, I think it needs to be applied. This option right here, boom, gives you the marching ants from the object that I had from Illustrator. Look, I have marching ants, and then I can fill it in with a color. No, can't fill it in with a color. I need to select a layer. There we go. So that was from a path. And then the last one, let me deselect that. Yeah, so the last one was edit, paste, and that is shape layer. Kind of shape layer is kind of very similar. Again, it's an object, and it's a solid color object. Kind of just like what I just did there, but without having to do all that work. The thing about a shape layer inside of Photoshop, this is a shape layer. The thing about a shape layer is it has a properties window to change the color. And in the properties window, you should be able to, no, where's my color? Is it not in properties? It's shape layer, shape path. Can I not change the color here? They used to have the option to change the color here. I don't know. No. Whatever. Okay, that's fine. I don't know why it's not doing that. But there's a lot of useful features of going back and forth between the two programs, in being able to do things. In addition, you can actually copy and paste from this is the smart object here, I think. Yeah, this is my smart object. Let me see. Oh, here's my smart vector. I can copy this also and go into something like InDesign. And does she cover InDesign in her design classes?
No.
Jean? No? Oh. Okay. We need to teach InDesign somewhere. We need to learn InDesign.
What is it primarily used for?
InDesign is a great application used for publishing as well as making an EPUB. So if you ever looked at a magazine on your iPad, or you ever get a magazine on your iPad and you're reading it, most likely it was done in InDesign. So InDesign, again, you can make a web document or print document or desktop publishing document or ebook right there that you can export out of any of them. But again, it's a desktop publishing program. Looks like a page. You can make a master and add new pages and make as many pages as you want. But the important thing right now is I want you to paste a smart object, Command V, and here it is. It's the same smart object that we had inside of Photoshop as well as in Illustrator. It's fully scalable and vector based, just like we had inside, and so you can actually go and do that inside of InDesign. They do have basic tools in InDesign, and they do have a pen tool. Look at that. But it's mostly used for masking things out and stuff like that, not necessarily building things. So it's a great way that you can copy and paste between programs. Let me stop there and let you work the last half hour, whatever.